Hi everybody, my name's Sarah and welcome to my channel So Sarah Sewed. In today's video I'm going to be talking about my 2021 MakeNine plans and how I did with those, and also talking about my goals for 2022. So I'm back from a lovely couple of weeks at my parents' beach house and I'm now catching up with making some of these videos. I've had a few that I've wanted to make. I'm not sure if I'll get around to making them, but I did really want to share my goals for this year and also how I went with my goals for last year. So what I'll do is I'll talk through each of my plans that I had on my MakeNine challenge last year. So if you haven't heard of it, the MakeNine challenge is an Instagram challenge where you try and set yourself 9 things you'd like to make. Some of my goals last year were quite specific, actual patterns, and others were more sort of general goals that I'd like to achieve. So the first of my goals in 2021 was to make pants that fit. And when I say that, I mean non-elasticized pants that fit. Now, I actually didn't get around to doing this at all. I barely made any pants last year. The only ones I made that I can think of are culottes. So the Winslow culottes, the Nini culottes, and I also made some Miller trousers. So they're all elasticized in the waistbands. So that is definitely a plan that I'd like to set myself again in 2022, but I'll talk more about my plans for 2022 later. The next thing I had on my list was the Fennel Fanny pack by Sarah Kirsten on Instagram. Now this pattern looks great. It's a cute little bum bag or fanny pack that you wear around your waist, and I actually had the pattern all printed out. I even had all my pattern pieces printed out, everything ready to go, and I took it down to my beach house at the end of 2020 for the holidays then, and again this year, and it still has never been touched. I really do want to make this still. I chose one of my favorite canvases from Rifle Paper Company for the main fabric. I had a fat quarter pack that I bought a couple of years ago, or several years ago actually, from Rifle Paper Company that included the canvas, and I thought this would be a really, really great way to use some of them. So it's this jungle scene with just some other fat quarters I've used to line it. I've got the zip, I've got everything ready to go, and I just need to get on with it. I think this would be especially handy, for walks, heading out when I didn't want to hold a bag but just need a few essentials with me. So I definitely do want to keep this on my plans for 2022 as well. My third item on my MakeNine for 2022 was an embroidered garment. Now, I really enjoy hand stitching, and I was hand stitching for many years before I bought my sewing machine. I've hand pieced a lot of quilts in my time, and I have enjoyed doing a fair bit of embroidery, as I find it a really enjoyable activity to do on the couch. I'll just pop in a couple of pictures of a couple that I've done in the last few years. However, I think that when I started knitting this year, or in 2021, I took it up at Easter time, and that sort of became my couch time hobby, and I never really thought about embroidery again for the rest of the year. So it is something that maybe I'll do at some point down the track, but I'm not going to be including that on my MakeNine or on my plans for 2022, but we'll see if it gets done at some point. So the first 3 were all unsuccessful in my plans for 2021, but the next one I really do feel like I achieved, and that was to sew some knit tops. So at the end of 2020, I hadn't sewn with jerseys or stretch fabrics of any kind, and that was one of my goals for 2021, and I absolutely met that goal. I have made so many t-shirts, sweatshirts, I've now made bathers. I feel completely comfortable sewing with jerseys and knit fabrics now, so I can definitely tick that goal off my list. My 5th plan on my MakeNine was to make a quilt coat, and I bought the tamarack coat pattern, and I just never got any further with that. I think that the whole project seemed just a little bit overwhelming. Having made quilts before, I would like to make the quilted fabric myself, and I know how long and time consuming that is, and I also want it to look really great. So it would take a lot of planning and then a lot of work even just to get to the point of having the fabric ready to cut and make into a garment. So that one got put to the side for 2021, but it is another one that I would like to possibly make in 2022. The next goal also involved quilting, and it was to finish some quilting works in progress. So I had been working already on a hand-pieced rainbow wall hanging quilt. The pattern is by Megan Collins, and I believe the quilt pattern name is Sun Showers, but I will check that. And I'd made one before, and actually it sits just above my sewing machine, so I'll show you, along with a couple of embroideries up there. I'd made that one and I absolutely loved it, and I actually got straight into making another one. And I'd made the quilt top, I think, at about the end of last year. And so my goal was to do the quilting process. I actually did a lot more quilting on that one than the one that hangs in my room. And I was absolutely thrilled with how this one turned out. I used a blue background rather than a white or a cream for this one, and I think it looks beautiful. And I ended up gifting it to a family member for a significant birthday now, and I had it framed and everything. So I'm really, really proud of this one. So I definitely got that work in progress ticked off, but I didn't finish any others. So I was also hand piecing a quilt called Journey Home quilt, and that is by someone. Their username on Instagram is Blooming Poppies, but I haven't really looked at that for a long time, so that one didn't happen. But I did finish the Sun Showers quilt, so very, very happy with that. The next goal on my MakeNine for 2021 was to conquer my fear of buttonholes. And I really did face that fear in 2021. I don't know that I've completely conquered the fear. I do get nervous every time I go to do them, but I now don't avoid patterns if they include buttonholes. So I feel good about that. The patterns that I've used that have used buttonholes have been the Anthea blouse, a few of those, the Hughes dress. I feel like there's more, but I can't remember what they are. But as I said, I don't now shy away from patterns because of buttonholes, and I feel like I did tick off that goal for this year. My next goal took me back to quilting again, and this goal was to machine piece a quilt. So before 2021, I had made several quilts, but every single one of them I'd hand pieced. So they took months and months of time. And I would do them in front of the TV, and it was highly enjoyable. But I thought, well, now I've got this fancy machine, I should try and make a quilt on the machine. So the perfect opportunity arose when I learned that my sister, who lives in Hong Kong, was expecting a baby. So I decided that was the perfect opportunity for me to machine piece a quilt for my new niece. So the pattern I chose for this project was the Maisie quilt by Penelope Handmade. And I was really happy with how it turned out. It was especially fun to be able to produce a quilt in such a short turnaround when I've only been able to make them over months and months in the past. So that was really good. I'm sure I'll make more quilts using my machine in the future. But the next time I do that, I think I would prefer to become involved in a quilt along because, you know, having it broken down into steps will take away some of the monotony, and also it's fun to, you know, be encouraged by other people doing the same project and to see how everyone else is choosing their fabrics and coming along with their projects as well. I find those really enjoyable. I've usually in the past not really been able to keep up with the pace, being someone who is hand stitching, so it would be fun to do a quilt along on my machine and be able to actually keep up next time. So maybe that will be added to my goals for this year as well. And the last goal on my MakeNine 2021 was to be able to make an invisible zip invisible. I did try and put an invisible zip in some Winslow culottes in 2020 and had no luck. It's not something I've gone back and actually tried again in 2021. I haven't had any projects that have required an invisible zip, so it's not one that came up. It's not a goal that I'll be putting again on my goals for 2022, just because it's not a specific goal that I really want to be able to master, but I will try not to avoid patterns. You know, if there's a pattern I want to make that has an invisible zip, I will use that as my chance to learn, rather than trying to seek out a pattern that has an invisible zip just for the purpose of being able to insert one. I hope that makes sense. The Winslow culottes that had the invisible zip, I'm actually going to be taking off the waistband and turning them into elasticized waistband anyway, because I find that fit is better for me. So that will happen at some point this year as well. So on to my goals for 2022. I have decided not to make a MakeNine for this year because, I mean, obviously most of my plans just get ignored anyway, and I am trying to think about my planning in a slightly different way. I think I'm similar to several people that I've seen on YouTube and Instagram recently that are talking more about being really careful and conscious about choosing things that they want to make that will really fit in with the wardrobe that they already have. And that's definitely what I need to be able to do in 2022. So a lot of my time in 2021 was spent work-wise teaching through a screen. I'm a music teacher, and I was, we were in lockdown for a lot of 2021. And it was those months in lockdown that I found that I had the most time to sew. And so then, of course, I was choosing patterns that were going to be things that I wanted to wear right then. And they were never, well, they were often not complete outfits because people were only seeing this much of me. So I made a lot of tops, but I didn't really think about complete outfits. So that's definitely what I'll be doing as my main goal in 2022, is thinking, what have I got and what's stopping me from wearing those things? And trying to find items that will help me complete outfits. So the first thing I really need to do is make bottoms. So I think that pants are going to be the most practical for me. I don't wear a whole lot of skirts. I have a couple of estuary skirts, but I don't wear them very often. So pants is one of my goals for this year. It was one of my goals last year, but it didn't happen, but it will happen this year. And I have a few patterns that I would really like to make this year. The first one I've already set as a plan for January, and that is a pair of Pietra pants. I've made some before and I find them really, really comfortable. So I'm making another one of those. The other three patterns that I do already have that I'd like to make this year are the peppermint wide leg pants. I think these look really versatile and something that I could probably make in a heavier material, hopefully to wear through the cooler months. Also the Arthur pants by So Liberated. I've already got that pattern too. And the third one is the Untitled Thoughts Chandler pants. So a little bit more tailored. So at some point throughout the year, I'll hope to make at least one version of each of those and see how we go with those and how they might be able to fit into matching with the tops that I've already made and sort of completing my work wardrobe. This year I'm heading back to work full-time. I haven't worked full-time since before my children were born, so that's over 7 years now. So it will be a real change to be heading to work every day. My youngest child is 5 and he is starting school, so I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to head back to work full-time myself. So yeah, I'd like to wear a lot of the tops that I've already made more, and yeah, so I'm trying to just find look at items that will help me to be able to achieve that goal. As well as pants, I think I'd like to make at least another pinafore. So I've made 4 York pinafores by Helen's Closet in the past, and they get a lot of wear, especially my corduroy versions. I've got a navy one and a black one that get worn a lot during the cooler months. So I'd like to try another style of pinafore. So I'm thinking either the steel pinafore by LB Textiles, or perhaps the olive pinafore, which is in the Tilly and the Buttons Make It Simple book, which I have. So both of those are quite different styles. I'll show you some pictures here so you can see. But the LB steel pinafore has 2 different skirt options, whereas the olive pinafore is quite form-fitting, it looks like, so quite close to the body the whole way. Maybe a little bit more similar to the York that I wear. So I'm pretty sure I'll make at least one of those this year as well, just to layer over those tops. And the other thing that I think my wardrobe is lacking is some outer layers. So again, being at home and teaching for much of the year, especially during the colder months in 2021, I didn't really need to have, warmer layers. because I could just, if I wasn't teaching, I could just throw on any odd thing over the top. And when I was teaching, I'd get quite warm anyway. So that is something I'll definitely need to start thinking about for next year, for 2022. So as I mentioned, in 2021, I did pick up knitting, and I have enjoyed making a couple of sweater vests, a short-sleeved jumper and a cardigan, and I'm really looking forward to knitting a jumper this year, and also finishing off a shawl that I started in October, which is the West Knits Shawlography knit along. It was a mystery knit along, not a mystery anymore. Most people have finished theirs, and I have only just finished clue 1 out of 4. So possibly by autumn or winter that will be finished and ready for me to wear as well. I do find, because a lot of my tops that I've made are big sleeved, puffy sleeves, and like Anthea blouse has big sleeves, and the sagebrush top has big sleeves. I actually find that jumpers often don't fit over them anyway. So sweater vests have been really good, but also shawls are really great for just being able to wrap around myself at my desk, or, you know, while I'm teaching. So basically, my goals for 2022 are to make clothes that complement what I already have, and to be able to find the reasons that I'm not reaching for particular clothes and remedy that. I also do have quite a stash of materials ready to be used, and I am going to be really trying my hardest to make the things that I've already planned in my head before I get tempted to buy too many extra fabrics. But at the end of the day, this is my hobby, and I am going to be, you know, if there's things that inspire me and I want to try, I will be doing those things for fun as well. So I hope that your 2022 is off to a good start, and that you have made a good start on your plans or thinking about them for this year. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd love you to give it a like, and I do always enjoy having a chat in the comments, so please let me know what your main goals are for this year, because I'd love to hear them. And I'll see you in the next video. See you.